Hey guys, welcome to a new video. We're gonna quickly go through the entire market with Bitcoin, Ethereum, and some interesting altcoins. And before we begin, check out the partners below if you're looking for any deposit bonuses or anything like that, with which you will also support me in doing so. All right, let's get into it. But before we get into the actual chart, I woke up today and I actually saw this being tweeted by the official account of Joe Biden. So I don't think it's like a hack or anything. Maybe it's some kind of joke surrounding a Super Bowl or anything because there were a lot of conspiracies and whatnot. I don't know what's going on, but it's quite funny because obviously it has the laser eyes, which is something we saw a lot of the Bitcoin maxis do during last cycle. Um, so in a way, this is quite funny, but yeah, let's see how it will turn out and what was actually the meaning behind it, because people don't really seem to get what was meant here. But it was a noteworthy tweet to highlight here before we start. All right, let's get into Bitcoin. So basically, we're still at this 48k resistance here, which we rejected off after the ETF. Overall, I mean, this is looking very solid. We were consolidating in between this range for a while. So in between like 40 and 44 and a half, let's say. We broke out, and since then we've not really looked back. And yeah, I mean, we're now not, we didn't sweep it just yet, but I mean, it does feel like we're gonna take this level out. And if we do on the higher time frame, I don't think much is holding us back until maybe this level here, at like 52-ish. And after that, there's gonna be like a few more levels, but I mean, there's not too much standing in the way of the Ultimate at this point. Don't think we're gonna go straight there, of course. I mean, it's still quite a move, and this can easily take like until the end of the year, which is what I think it will take. Because we're not going up in a straight line, I don't think. But yeah, overall looks good. Trend is up. We had a nice 20% correction, which seems to be abundant for now. And I don't think there's a reason to think we're gonna go straight to 30k or anything at this point. As long as the trend is up, the trend is your friend. One thing I would like to note is, and I think you can kind of see it in the way the price moved. So during mainly like the past 2 weeks already, the ETF inflows have been positive, and especially on Thursday and on Friday. On Thursday we had like I think a 400 million, and on Friday 500 million, or the opposite way around. But in total there was like 1 billion in net inflows in the ETFs. So you can see here, like let's say Thursday and Friday, that equal to like a 10% move in 2 days, because there was like 1 billion of inflows. So that's quite crazy, and I think that's also what contributes to the way the market is moving here. As you can see, it's just like straight grind up without major corrections in between, as there was a lot of demand in this region. So I think if the candles display this kind of behavior or this kind of pattern, and also combined with the ETF flows we know, it does show you that there's like a lot of demand and a lot of buying and absorption being done here. Therefore, we don't really dip a lot at all. So that's how you get these kind of moves. And yeah, we have the ETF data to back it up. I do think this was rallied mainly by or maybe it's not the sole reason, but I think there was a nice narrative, because somewhere on Wednesday here, before this move started, Fidelity announced that they would put in one of their ETFs, which is quite a big one, I think. They would put 1% of the allocation towards Bitcoin. So whether this was them rotating into that, or just the fact that they did that, did cause like a lot of positive sentiment, I'd say. Because if they do it, we'll likely see BlackRock do it on some of their ETFs, for example, just also to stay ahead of the competitor. Because if you put like a part of your own ETF into your other bigger ETFs as an allocation, then of course it's going to grow and it's going to be one of the bigger ones. And therefore you might beat out your competitor due to that. And in the end, I do think BlackRock and Fidelity are gonna both be around in like several years, but they will probably have like most of the exposure of all the Bitcoin ETFs, and some of the smaller ones might not see it as worthwhile to keep on going, and they might stop it, and because most people choose the biggest ones regardless. So that's why this battle between these ETF issuers is so huge. But yeah, I mean, looks good. I would want to see this 48k level being broken for now, and then we can focus on like 52 up here. But yeah, for now, I don't really see reason to sell or also to long here, as it's still resistant. So just sitting in spot and chilling is the way to go for me. To easily journal and track your trades, consider trying out CoinMarketManager. It's as simple as connecting your exchange API to the website to get your analytics ready. Sign up using the link below, get a 14-day trial, and I hope you really enjoy it. I know I've been using it for a while and I can't go without at this point. Right here. Onto ETH. It did what we wanted to see, so it did retake this, basically this support resistance level up here at like 2400. Looks pretty good also to make a move higher. It's still underperforming against Bitcoin. I mean, it's pretty clear here as well because Bitcoin is already back at these highs and Ethereum is down here still. So it's still underperforming. ETH BTC, which we're gonna get into in a bit, is also down. I do still think it will catch up, but only once Bitcoin cools down a bit. And I do think we'll have to get closer to this potential ETH ETF approval in May. But even then, that's not like as certain as it was for Bitcoin. I think the Bloomberg guys give it like a 60% probability of succeeding. So we'll see. I do think the higher Bitcoin goes now post ETF. So of course we had some FUD and all that stuff. But I mean, into the ETF we went up. We had a short sell-off after, but now we're back at the high. So I think the better it performs now, the more hype people will also be for Ethereum. And I think that will in place also help with Ethereum going up the closer we get to May, as there's going to be some pricing in of this ETF. And I mean, even for Bitcoin, which had like a high probability of getting approved, it didn't really get priced in until like, what is this, like 16th of October. So it's only like 3 months before, which is kind of crazy because even down here we had like a 90% probability according to the Bloomberg guys, and it took still just 3 months before we really started going up, and the fake Cointelegraph ETF news. So maybe it just needs some time, and maybe later in February or whatever, or maybe we get some positive news surrounding it and thinking, hey, the probability of it getting approved is going to go up. So yeah, I do think we'll get some catch up, but might not be until like a few weeks or until Bitcoin kind of cools off. And the same is here. Basically, this is obviously the opposite of ETH BTC in a way, because Bitcoin dominance still strong, still holding up here. Doesn't feel like it wants to go down just yet. I think if Bitcoin goes above 50k, we might even see this go up all the way here, which would see another low for ETH BTC most likely. But yeah, for this, I'm not watching it too much. If at some point we were gonna start trading below 48%, I do think this is the place where you try to convert more BTC into alts and then hopefully catch some kind of alt season. But until then, BTC is still strong and outperforms the average altcoin market, let's say. But yeah, most of this is coming from ETH, which you can see here. I mean, this thing, we had a huge move up, 30% or so in a few days, but we've almost retraced most of it. I would like to see if this can hold up here, but even then, yeah, it's a higher low, so maybe it takes some time and moves from there. But I would have liked to see a higher low being built somewhere around here or here, you know, like this is kind of looking like it's just going to do like a full retrace at this point. So, moving on. The total market cap. I mean, this is as clean as can be. Obviously, this follows Bitcoin a lot because Bitcoin is the biggest factor in this. But you can see this 1.5 trillion level has been held perfectly, like on several occasions, which was also the low here in January 2022. And with this, I think the target is pretty clear for now, and we can focus on this 2.1 trillion area, which is the high from April, I think, in 2022. Yes, so this was the high before basically the Luna collapse, the Lender collapse, and everything went downhill from there. So it's a nice level to focus on. And also here, sure, we could go there next week, let's say, but I don't think that's likely. More likely than not, this just takes a while, and there's a lot that can happen in between, you know, and you get something like this, which would still be perfectly fine uptrend, but it's not going to go straight up like everyone always thinks. So in this case, it might even take like half a year, for example. And I do think this would correspond approximately with the Bitcoin all-time high, this level, depending on how hard ETH goes, of course, by this time. But at the current pace, I think this is up. Okay, this is a bit more. Yeah, so the Bitcoin all-time high would be maybe up here to like 2.5 trillion. So yeah, main focus here on 2.1 trillion, and until then, I mean, as long as we trade even above here, I think this is bullish, and over time, I'm pretty bullish on this market for the next 1 or 2 years. Then onto the altcoins. Blur, still really interesting to me, as the Blast Layer 2 is gonna launch soon. I think that means the ETH gets unstaked, that's deposited in there, or people can access it. Not sure if they can actually keep staking it for Blast points or tokens or whatever there. But what you can do until like May is stake your Blur for Blast points. So what this means is, if this ETH is indeed getting a lower staking yield or whatever on the chain itself, or in the Blast smart contract, people might look to allocate differently to yield Blast. And if Blur is the better outcome there, staking Blur, then that might help Blur go up. And just overall, NFTs still haven't been doing great, except the Pudgy Penguins. But at some point, I do think the market will catch up, and I think it needs ETH to do well first. But Blur is basically the only big NFT marketplace that has a token. OpenSea is still there, but it's already like a fourth of Blur's volumes, and it doesn't have a token. So this is basically a monopoly, and I think that's pretty rare in this market, as there's always a lot of competitors. But I think Blur just won the game. I think they're gonna stay ahead, and I mean, their market cap isn't that extremely high, so that combined with the Blast stuff, just want to see this level being broken, like the 75 cents level. And I do think if this breaks, I do think this is ready to go, and then obviously this is the next, and after that all-time highs. I do think this move from 85 to all-time high should be relatively quick the moment it does that. That was the wrong one. I wanted the price range, yes. So that's still a pretty large move, but I think this would be pretty quickly, as there's like little to no price history up here. So up there, I think in no time you'll be in price discovery. Another very interesting one is Link. On Twitter, or I mean, I've been mentioning it a lot on YouTube as well. On Twitter, I bought this range low upon retaking it. Like, the plan was always, okay, we're gonna wait for this deviation below, then for it to retake it, and then we're gonna buy a spot back and just wait for like 2 years. So that's what I did. I bought it like 560, still holding that back, even compounded some in between. But I mean, here we are. It's one of the better looking high time frame charts, in my opinion. I think the first next stop would be 23, as long as we hold above this region approximately, but I think it can do that. And the next up would be approximately 28, which is also this January 2022 high. But overall, just bullish on this. I mean, it's still getting used a ton. The chart looks great, mainly because of this super long consolidation down here. And yeah, I don't have any rush to sell this. Probably gonna hold for like the next 1 or 2 years. Stacks, same thing basically. I did want to buy some lower here as well, but I ended up buying some at like 130 to 135, I think. So that's still pretty nice at this point. If it would have gone lower, I would have bought more, but so be it. This is still strong. Looks pretty damn good, I think, for a move to the all-time highs, even though that's still quite far away in terms of percentages. I do think over time this will make its way there. Doge, still not moving. I do still think this will make some kind of stupid move at some point, but it does need some kind of catalyst usually. So whether that's from Elon or whatnot, I do think we're gonna get some random candle up, but when, no idea. But for now, it's still gliding along this daily 200 EMA and MA, and as long as it holds above here, I think it's a matter of time before we get some random candle up. Optimism still looks pretty great to me as well. Just the higher lows, higher highs, and now already trying to make its way up here. I think it's good that it trades above this previous all-time high here, so basically the 320 level. And from here on out, we can just focus on the next target. And for that, I would usually just take these Fibonacci retracements and then draw from top to bottom. And then the best targets usually that see some kind of reaction are these 1618 and 2618. So that's basically where you usually draw the Fibonacci retracement and you watch for the 618 as a good bounce level. The same happens here when in price discovery. But I will say in price discovery, the price does tend to be more volatile and moves a lot more, and also doesn't really respect these levels as well as you tend to see, for example, with just your regular Fibonacci retracement. But these would be decent areas to watch for. And then onto a few new coins. So Zeta Chain, recent launch like 2 weeks ago now, had a huge run up, consolidation, kinda deviated below this 618 here, or like the golden fib retracement level. But from there, now grinding its way up higher. At this moment, I don't own any of this, but I do think it's good to watch these newer coins still, as they are moving quite a lot. Like even these kind of moves. Oh, wrong button. Even these kind of moves from here to like here, it's 2 days for 50%, and this is very like there's a lot of volume, a lot of liquidity, so it's easy to trade these. It just shows you, sure, this was a perfect move, of course, and you're not gonna catch the entire move usually, but 50% in 2 days just shows there's like plenty of action if you look for these newer coins, because yeah, let's say Link, for example, which did move recently, but not for the past 2 days, for example. Like this has been mostly chopping around here sideways for 2 weeks, let's say. And then you have these new coins that just make these 50% moves out of nowhere. Like there's also this new gamified coin, of course, Mafia or Mafia, whatever you want to call it. This thing also from listing straight up like 3-4x. And that's something I've been highlighting a lot, which we've been seeing a lot. New listings usually go up for a few days. Then you get a slow bleed, and it's kind of the same as we saw on Zeta, of course. Up 3 to 4x in this case, also slow bleed for, what was this, 5 days. Find a floor, and then maybe get another run. But some coins just completely die off here, and then they bleed for another few weeks until eventually they recover. Although this thing has done quite well from the start. Like it launched at like 8 cents here, which it was trading at for a few hours, and it went straight up, did like the 4x. And since then we've kind of been stuck between like 20 cents and let's say like 30-ish cents. But looks to be ranging, and I do think at some point this will attack these highs again. Don't really see a clear trade for now, but I'm keeping an eye on this. I mean, I own or I invested in this, so hopefully it will make its way higher at some point, and then yeah, let's see. I mean, still one of the newer coins, so there's plenty of action with this. I don't think it looks too bad for a new coin, especially because it launched down here. So let's see. And then lastly, Ace, also new coin, but it's been around for a while. So here you can also see like this had a move up initially, not as huge. Then we sold off for, what is this, like 3 weeks. Since then it is, or like maybe even here 2 weeks. Since then we've swept this low 2 times, but didn't really move much higher. Or lower, sorry. And then we've now been consolidating for about 40 days. Whether this is already ready or not sure, but this is usually what these Binance launch bet or launch pool coins do, which Ace is also. They tend to top pretty quickly, so quicker than, for example, these kind of coins. So they top pretty quickly, they bleed down, you get this range down here, and at some point, usually it starts doing this kind of movement up. So I think for Ace, confirmation would be above, like, let's say 10 to 11. And I think if it does that, you can probably go with the flow and trade the trend until it just stops, because usually they keep going for a while after doing so. So yeah, with that, we've come at the end. As always, if there's questions, feedback, whatnot, just let me know. I'll likely just keep doing the general market update with some altcoin suggestions in between. So don't be afraid to just give some suggestions for coins as well. But usually I'll go with like the hot coins and things that are trending right now, which most people are watching and are most interested in. If you missed last video, I did like 20 chart requests by you guys. So there might be some of your bags in there. I mostly focus on the higher time frame charts. So I think most of those should still be valid after a week. With that, thank you all very much for watching. Check out the partners below. And I do wish you a good week ahead. Bye bye.